Hey guys, welcome back to another Azure gaming video, and today's video is going to be dedicated to lightning fast Zidane. So we're going to talk about his TMR, his STMR, his vision card, his normal form, his brave shift form, how to use him and how to build him, the best companions to bring with him in a party, and should you pull for him. Alright, so before we start, make sure to click on that subscribe button, click on the like and notification bell to get notified when I upload new videos to the channel. So my name is Azure, I upload FFBE and gaming content every day. So if you're interested in that, you can also check me out in various social media. The links are in the description. I also stream FFBE and other games at Twitch, so check me out there and follow me also. Alright guys, without further ado, let's go. Alright, his Trust Master reward is Thief's Vest, is a top tier TMR. It is the only clothes that gives significant amount of flat attack along with physical evasion. This is the best in slot for Elf Zidane's Brave Shift form. You can also equip it on his base form if you want. Not only does it proc his Trust passives, it also adds 500 static attack, unique only to Zidane and his versions, and also provides 30% physical evasion. So Thief Vest FF9 gives 45 flat attack and 15 defense in spirit. Boost attack by 500 static, so it's not affected by any attack bonuses, and 30% chance of evading physical attacks. Really good TMR. You should get it if you get Zidane. Alright, next is the Super Trust Master reward. I wanted to go with you. This is a unique materia that only bards can utilize, like Elf Zidane and his versions, Garnet and Elfim, and other bards, but the other bards don't really have any good stats or support skills or damaging skills. So this will be really great on Elf Zidane himself. Maybe Garnet for the Lightning Imbue and Elfin for the Light Imbue. It could also be useful on future bard units. Future bard units could come that can utilize this materia as well. So this is a must-have if you want to boost the LB damage of your LB damage healers, like Lasso and Reagan, to the max, 300%. So he's the only one that can do that with this materia in the game for now. But eventually, in the future, there will be other units that can boost LB damage, but not at the maximum of 300, at the highest of 300%. Only Zidane and his STMR can do that. It also boosts parameters by 300%. So what is the caveat or the downside for this? Using this, the unit will be locked for 5 turns singing. So that's usually what bards do. They sing and they usually can't do anything else while singing. But on the 6th turn or on turn 6, you will reap the benefits of the singing by having 300% all stat buff and also 300% LB damage buff. While Zidane is doing this, you can just gear him for evade passive provoking, and he can still be useful while he is singing. Alright, next is his vision card. Vision card is Swords of Fury, level 10, attack 110, so really good. Flat attack there. It also gives 80% attack when equipped with a sword or dagger. So, and then level 10 boost LB damage by 50, FF9 units only. So this is the best vision card for Elf Zidane since he wants to equip his ultimate weapon. Ultimate weapon is from Rakish Thief Zidane. That's his STMR. So he wants to equip 2 of those. Run those through the Chronicle Battle. Farm the recipes for it in Chronicle Battle. Upgrade it to +4, and he wants 2 of those so he can benefit from the LB damage, True Dual Wield, and flat static attack. Alright, so it can also be useful for other physical damage healers, so favor daggers and short swords. They can benefit from the 80% short sword passive, 80% attack, and then 110 flat attack. So this is similar to Dario's side vision card from Venera. This video is sponsored by Amazon Coins. Get 10,000 Amazon Coins for $80 instead of $100.
That's a savings of 20%. You can use the Amazon coins to buy Lapis for FFBE. I placed a link in the description below. Check it out after you watch the video.
So we're going to talk about his base stats both in normal and brave shift form, as well as his resistances. So nothing much difference within the normal and brave shift stats, except brave shift stats are overall higher than the normal stats. So you want to use him in his brave shift form if you want to do the maximum damage. Basically, his brave shift form does the damage, normal form does the buffing. Alright, so 401 at EX3 attack, and in base form 351 at EX3. Normal form also has element resistance, but only 20% for fire, ice, wind, and earth. He is completely immune to poison, sleep, confuse, and petrify, while his brave shift form is also immune to all those statuses, but has 30% more resistances for fire, ice, wind, and earth. So really good there for dark visions. If the enemy has fire, ice, wind, or earth, you don't really have to gear for those resistances anymore. You just need to buff the resistance and he will be completely immune as long as you remove the imperils beforehand. So here is his equipment pool and brave shift cooldown and duration. So weapons will be short swords, throwing weapons, and maces. And he can equip hats, clothes, light armor, and accessories. He doesn't have any magic affinity. His brave shift form is available from turn 1. Duration is 4 turns, so that will limit the number of turns you are in brave shift form. He will automatically go back to normal form after the duration. The cooldown to brave shift is 5 turns. Normal form, Elf Zidane is a buffer and Stardust Ray Trainer. In normal form, he can buff LB damage by 250 via his LB. So you don't really need to have his STMR in order to buff LB damage, but this is just 250 instead of 300. And he can also buff Avian and Bird Killer, Physical, and Magic to the party. He's the only one who can do a significant amount of Avian and Bird Killer in the game. Other buffers only buff for 50%, he buffs for 150. Similar to Laswell and Reagan, who can buff 150 to Dragon Killer. Alright, so his attack, Swift Raid, this is the Wind Physical Stardust Ray Chaining. This also buffs all parameters by 230 for all your allies. I Need Everyone's Help. It's a cooldown ability that is available in turn 1. This is his Avian Killer buff. It also gives LB gauge fill rate 150 for all allies. And then last is his LB Solution 9 Lightning Fast Zidane. This does 30 hits, costs a hefty amount of LB Crest, 80. Physical damage 80 to all enemies, not really significant, but the LB damage buff is really high. And it's AoE that lasts for 4 turns that cannot be dispelled. He can also apply a 1-stack Mirage to the party, sacrifice himself to give 100% HP and MP, and 40 LB gauge to all allies. He also has Provoke, which is quite useful since he has a lot of innate physical evasion, and he can just evade passive Provoke while he's singing using his STMR. So True Sacrifice, when used per battle, unique selection and multicast. This KOs him and then restores HP and MP to all allies. Increase LB gauge 40 to all allies. Speedy Evasion Lightning Fast Zidane. This is the 1-stack Mirage. It also has Stardust Ray Chaining. Provoke is a Provoke skill and teammates help each other. He can multicast this 3 times, recover MP 100 to all allies, so that's 300 per turn. If he multicast, triple cast this, and it also increases LB gauge 5 to all allies, 15 per turn if he triple casts this. Alright, so passives for normal form. He's not gonna really do any damage on normal form except for doing the LB, so he can have LB damage. But if you're interested in making him an SR chainer or LB damage chainer, You can do. You're free to do so. Here are his passives. His auto attack will be changed at a certain level. It will deal physical damage to one enemy and seals item 50% from one enemy. Bolting strike chains. Attack passives really kind of high at 200% when he is equipped with a dagger. True dual wield, and he also has spirit true dual wield, which is kind of strange. This is a trust passive, so you need to equip either his STMR or TMR. He doesn't have any TDH passives. He has innate dual wield and 200% chain cap modifier. He has 150 LB damage and 60% HP MP defense and spirit passives. Ailment and elemental resistance, we already talked about those. He has innate 200% physical plant killer, so he's really good against plants and avian, both physical and magic. He also has 50% passive provoke, so you just need the Moogle charm and then he will have 100 passive provoke. He also has 50% magic evasion, physical evasion as well, and then guts max one time. And he also has another form of guts if you equip his Trust Master or Super Trust Master ward. He can fill his LB gauge 5 per turn if you equip his Trust or Super Trust. 7% MP refresh. He automatically obtains Gil when sealing, and he has 100% steal rate. Brave form. So Elf Zidane really shines as an LB damage dealer in Brave form. He can still chain Stardust Ray, though while providing high wind and fire imperils. All his abilities can be triple casted like in his base form or normal form. So True Tidal Flame and True Mio Twister, these are his Stardust Ray chaining for fire and wind respectively. These imperil 130 fire and wind to all enemies. True Cell Circle 5, that's actually an attack in FF9. Physical damage 110, so note this is can be triple casted, so it's kind of high modifier for chaining skill 110. Usually it's just 75 to 80. This gives him 3 stacks of Mirage for himself. Stardust Ray chaining also. True Scoop Art. This removes all buff from one enemy, so only the buffs, not the debuffs. So really useful if the enemy constantly buffs himself. He can just triple cast this skill, or just include this in as a part of the triple cast, and he can automatically remove all buffs from one enemy. It also does has a pretty significant modifier there at 90. And lastly, his Limit Burst is grand lethal one hit, so it's a finisher skill, 80 LB again. Physical damage 165 when consecutive increase, 2 times 65 each, 295 max to one enemy. So he will do 165 plus plus 65 and then plus 65 up to a max of 295. Alright, so he has a really high LB modifier as long as you fire off his LB at least 2 times. And then on the 3rd time, it will do the max damage. Alright, so auto attack is still going to be changed at a certain level. It's going to do physical damage 48 to one enemy. And this time, it increases LB gauge 6 to all allies. Bolting strike chain. So if you're dual wielding, it will cast twice. You will fill LB gauge 12 to all allies per turn. Attack still has a 140 when equipped with a dagger, but 110 unconditional, so really good. Quite easy to cap his attack passives. He still has 100% true dual wield and spirit dual wield when equipped with when procced, but he gains 50% more each. No TDH again. Any dual wield, 200% chain cap modifier, same LB damage. And more defensive spirit, 50% more than his normal form. Similar element resistances and elemental resistance. Killers, he gains 100% more avian killer physical, and still 200% plant killer and avian killer magic. He doesn't get anything else for the miscellaneous except for more LB per turn. So that's 9 if he is equipped with a Trust. His Trust passive is procced. He also loses the Gil Steel, but not really an issue. Alright, how do we build Elf Zidane? So Elf Zidane wants 2 copies of Rakish Thief Zidane's STMR for his best build. So that is 2 Ultima weapons, FF9 plus 4. They will give him 100% LB damage, 100% true dual wield, 800 static attack, and 6 LB per turn. So that's really good. You just need to farm the Chronicle Battle and have the weapons themselves. So I think I have 1 already, so I just need 1 more. Add his own vision card and he will max out his LB damage, passive LB damage. So he already has 150. At the get-go, you only need 150 more. So Ultima Weapons will give 100, his vision card will give 50, so you're already maxed out. Make sure to equip his own TMR or SMR to proc his Trust passive, so that's why we have Thief's Vest, FF9, as his armor. And then just fill the rest of the slots with high attack gear and killer. So high attack accessory like Warlord, Leg Guards, you really don't need the True Dual Wield from those since you're already capped from the Ultima weapons. Red Hellbore for the flat attack. And so a bunch of killers for his slots, or GF extension if he's already capped out in all categories, and attack percentage materia if you're not if it's still not capped on attack. Alright, so how do we use him? This is for LB damage, right? So using him for his LB damage abilities, not for buffing. But you can combine them if you want, but that's gonna take a significant amount of setup. Not gonna cover that here. But this, let's just keep it simple. So Elf Zidane wants to fire off his LB 3 times within 4 turns, or you can just do them separately. But this is the best way to maximize his damage. Therefore, you need to bring an external LB fill support that can entrust, like Selfie or NV Barts that can entrust to him to fill his LB gauge every turn. So he also needs an elemental imbue. He doesn't have any elemental imbues by himself. However, he does have imperils for fire and wind. Thankfully, NV Barts can imbue him with wind and other supports that can imbue him with elements. So turn 1 is stay in normal form. You imbue him with you entrust him and then fire off his LB for the 250 LB damage buff for 4 turns. Then immediately shift to Brazier form on turn 2. Entrust him again, fire off his LB, so that will be 165 with 300% LB passive and 250 active. That's 1072.5 modifier. Not really factoring in the wind imbue, wind amp, or wind imperil that Bart's provides. Turn 3, you cast his LB again, entrust, cast his LB, so that's 230 now. And then at turn 4, 295 modifier. So he's gonna modifier for his LB will now be 295. Will hit for 1917.5 with a 300% LB passive and 250 active. Alright, so if you combine that with his LB buffing, it will do more damage for 300% active LB damage. Alright, so here is how to use him for LB buffing. So Elf Zidane cannot do anything while he's singing, so he cannot act until turn 6. So he can, however, evade passive provoke while singing, so he's not completely useless. On turn 6, he can cast his LB in BS form, which benefits from the 300% LB damage buff. Normal form, stay normal form, and then cast I Wanted to Go With You. Next turn, it will increase all stats by 250. Next turn, it will increase 100% LB damage, etc. And up to turn 6, it will increase all stats by 300 and 300% LB damage buff. So if you already used his LB twice, this will do 295, right? Alright, so we're just assuming we only cast his LB for the first time on turn 6. That will do 1155. Alright, so you can combine the 2 rotations here. Fire off his LBs at least 2 times. and then go with the buffing, and then fire up his LB on the third time, which will do 295 plus 300% LB damage. So that's I think that's the maximum he can do, maximum damage he can do. Alright, so he does need quite a number of turns for setup to do his maximum damage, but if you really want to do that for Dark Visions, if you can stall for that long, you're welcome to do so. So you can take advantage of the high burst that Envy Zidane provides. Alright, so here's a quick damage comparison from Furcula's damage sheet. So he didn't really get any upgrades from his FFBE JP version. So I'm just using his JP version data here. He does 3 trillion damage, 3.7 trillion. The highest physical damage dealer, or the best one we have, is Cobalt Blade Noctis, which is like locked to light at 3 trillion damage. So he does more damage than Cobalt Blade Noctis, but he does require a hefty amount of turns to set up. But he is non-elemental, so you can just imbue him with any element you want, and he can benefit from that. Alright, so he is a top physical damage dealer right now, with a caveat of requiring a lot of turns to set up. Alright, so should you pull for Envy Zidane? Alright, he is the only unit that can buff 300% LB damage. Other bards too can, but he is the best one to use the materia. And 300% stats via his STMR, so definitely a must pull if you care about LB damage. He can also buff 150 AoE Avian Bird Killer for both physical and magic. He's the only unit in the game that can do that. 150, others are 50% only. The buff will be relevant in next month's Dark Vision. Not this month's Dark Vision, but next month's Dark Vision, where the last boss is a bird or avian. So instead of bringing Son and some unit with Bird Killer, like AC Tifa with her LB, you can just, or Envy Furion, you can just bring Zidane by himself and provide the AoE Avian Killer, LB damage, and LB in his physical damage using his LB damage buff as well. So all in one unit. He is also an excellent LB damage healer, boasting 295 modifier in his BSLB. He does need a lot of external LB fill support from NB Barts, so, but you're always going to be bringing NB Barts for the Wind Amp and Wind Imperil and Wind Imbue. So that's not really an issue for Dark Visions at the last boss. He also needs Elemental Imbues to deal the most damage. So lastly, he can also remove the enemy's buffs while training Stardust Ray, so really useful skill. And his training skills and Brave Shift have fairly high modifier, so if you're not interested in doing LB damage with him, you can still use him as a chainer, Stardust Ray chainer. His training skills have high modifiers on them. Alright, so those are the reasons you should pull for Envy Zidane. Hope this helps you make a decision on whether or not you should spend your lapis for him or some tickets. Alright, so that's it, guys. Let me know if I missed anything or if I made a mistake there somewhere. I hope this was helpful, and let me know in the comments if you're pulling for Envy Zidane, or if you already pulled for him, let me know how it went. Like to hear your thoughts on the unit himself, and let me also know which unit you're looking forward to or you're saving lapis for. Alright guys, don't forget to subscribe again and like the video, share if you find it useful. This is Azure again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.